Okay, I say again. Let's start from Moishe now. So he just finished saying in his Daled, why was Yitzias Mitzrayim through Aaron and Moishe? Because even though Aaron is the lower level, Moishe is the higher level. Aaron is Iskafia, still struggling, breaking, and Moishe is transformation. Moishe is Torah, as we learned earlier. And Yitzias Mitzrayim is Iskafia. They ran out of Mitzrayim. He answered, this was yesterday's discussion, topic, that even the Avodah of Iskafia has to be in such a way that already inherent and integral in it is the understanding, the realization that it leads to the ultimate union, Hisapcha, and beyond Hisapcha, which is still dealing with Nefesh Bahamis, pure Kedusha, no barriers at all, as we explained or talked about yesterday. And the support al derech hamavur in Tanya, but not quite the same, but still analogous to the point made in Tanya, that the Beinoni is not exempt from the avodah of trying to hit tzaddik. We drew the distinction yesterday and the parallels between what he's saying here and Tanya. Now, hey, we started saying yesterday, v'hine al derech zel idach gisa, now the other extreme. In the same way that we said the beginning of the avodah already has to have the appreciation of where this is going. This is not simply a matter of constantly struggle and earn brownie points, but rather it's about a relationship with God in the deepest way, which means asay tov, complete and absolute union. That's the objective. So I just added this sentence now, which I didn't say it exactly this way yesterday, which in one sentence explains it. Okay, hope that was clear. Now, likewise, the other way, that even the other extreme, that once even having achieved the ultimate union, there too, the beginning of Avodah remains. And what was that? The spilers, the Gewalt, which we addressed yesterday, and now he's going to explain it. So Idach Gisa means at the end of the Avodah, the ultimate objective. Even when we've achieved the Avodah of Chedesh Iyar, which is in brackets Avodah the Isapcha. The Avodah of Isapcha, that's not the essence of it. The essence of Chedesh Iyar is not transforming even our emotions. Beyond that even, but the pure Inyan of Atzilus, of Yesoid, which is L'mayli Yosa, even higher, and that is the Avodah, as we explained at length, of the Merkava. That's the Ikir of Chedesh Iyar, Asay Tov, purely. Still there, the Chedesh now is Sarech Li, is Roisha. There has to be an element, a trace of Me'achayis Vayispailos Shal Avodah the Iskafia, of the Ispailos of the Avodah Iskafia. We explained yesterday that means the Gewalt of Iskafia. Iskafia is a Gewaldige Avodah because he's fighting for his life not to fall into the trap of the Yetzer Hara. And by the grace of God, he succeeds. As we learn in Tanya from the Gemara, if Hashem wouldn't help, then the Yetzer Hara would get the upper hand. So it's a Gewaldige Avodah. As we invoked yesterday, the image of what? A physical image of someone.
A person drowning.
A person drowning who's thrashing in the water to stay afloat. That's Iskafia. That's the spilus of Iskafia. So he's saying that this Gewalt has to be even in the Avodah of Asay Tov. I'm not struggling anymore. So what's the Gewalt? So we addressed that yesterday. Now let's see in the words of the Maimer. Inyan hu. So the matter is as follows: the Gesharahu betokvei. So obviously, when the Ra is in its full force, this is the beginning of the Avodah. A person is an untamed, uncontrolled, I want to do what I want to do state. I'm just reminded of the word. I'm sure you remember this. It goes back probably 20 years. Sukkah's verbrengen in our Sukkah. Shalom Duchel was verbrengen, and he's told the story, and the story goes like this. There was once a tailor. Remember the story? It's very brief. It's only one more line to the end of the story. In Yiddish, it rings a Schneider, a tailor. He picked that because he's an innocent fellow and a nice, he's not. What job could be more innocent and less engaging in the world and tempting than being a tailor? Okay, he's going to steal a little bit of fabric. Great temptation. It's very hard even to do that. So there was a tailor, a Schneider. No, how does the end of the story go? And he used to do what he wanted to do. That's it. That's the end of the story. That's the whole story. So that's how we all begin. Either you're a tailor or you're a little more aggressive in your life, but it's I want to do what I want to do. So that obviously, that avoid is a gewalt, because to constantly break ourselves and not do what I, meaning never Shabbat Yitzhara, wants to do is a gewalt. So the fear of evil causes to fall into its trap. So it causes the person flees for his life, running out. That's Yitzias Mitzrayim. We all know the story. They stayed a moment longer in Mitzrayim. It's over. They wouldn't have left. We're not going. Barely made it out by the skin of their teeth. But this avoid of chipazon, it's radical. They wish to look and see, look what this Yiddish is doing. What he's doing. Gewalt, Zemese Gewalt. It's a lot easier just to give in and still be a nice tailor, no complaints, but he doesn't. So so the Eibishter responds in kind, and there's a radical move by the Shekhinah, by the Eibishter himself, Kavayachol, as the pasuk in the Shir Hashirim describes it, quoted by the Medrash, as a reference to Tzias Mitzrayim Medal, like the voice of my beloved is coming, Medal Galaharim, skipping over the mountains, Mekapetz Al Hagvois, jumping over the valleys. So the Eibishter is moved, as it were, to his core, and the Eibishter embraces us or connects to us in a radical way, because Iskafi is radical. In a second, he could be in the depth of Klippa, and it's right then he's on the precipice, and he's being drawn like a magnet, and he doesn't. He tears himself away, so the Eibishter responds in kind and connects to him and reveals and loves him in revealing a radical, beyond nice boy, good little tailor relationship. So this chipaz on behalf of the Yid leads to Hashem's love back, which is also higher than Seder Vadroga. So that's the beauty of the Avodah of Iskafia. But when the person is engaged in the dogged process of transforming his feelings, the after no longer struggling with behavior. So now it's not about behavior, now it's about feeling and sensitivity. It's even a higher and more difficult avodah, but once achieved, and even before he achieves it, even during the avodah, the stakes are not sin or don't sin. It's not a gewalt. So you're more refined, less refined, more sensitive, less sensitive. It's not the end of the world. The real end of the world is the beginning. Cross the line or don't cross the line. So there's the gewalt, there's the bricha. He's not running away. He's not running away from himself. He's a nice guy. He's going to make it nicer. He's going to channel his midas to be more refined and more giving. Externally, not seeing anything going on. It's a very internal thing. And again, the stakes are not hell or heaven, sin or not sin. So there's no gewalt here. Not only there's no gewalt, there can't be gewalt. There cannot be gewalt. When you're working on the emotions internally, this is a very thoughtful process of self-analyzation and meditation and consideration. You're not thrashing in the water, as it were, symbolically, when you're working on our emotional makeup. It's a very it's a dogged process, but a very orderly process. As we're going through
systematically.
We're going very systematic process. We're going through the 4 midas with the 79 The 49 components of the 7 midas with the help of Simon Jacobson. If anybody wants to take this even slightly seriously, every day there is something to think about and something to look at and a meditation, and we give pause to it and we look at ourselves and then an exercise. There's no gewalt there and cannot be. Do this in a gewalt way, you're destroying it. We're talking about making you a mensch. So stop with the gewalt here and get down to the analysis of how you feel, and it's a very slow, methodical process. So Mekosh can avoid the Vasi Tov, how much more so when he's gone beyond the avodah of he's refined himself. So now it's what? Now it's pure union. I say Tov means is dafkus rucha berucha, a Jew one with God, and there's no barriers. You've arrived at pure attachment. That's silent, my friends. The whole process of a Seder Vadroga. So it's missing the Gewalt on its own. Now the Chiddush is, no, there has to be even there the Gewalt. There the Dilug also. This is Pesach Sheini. This is Pesach. The Dilug, the jumping, where? In the Avodah of Sheini, which is his Hapcha, and even beyond his Hapcha. Yisoid is bonding. That's it. One. You're one. So here comes the big news. So even in the Avodah of Asay Tov, there has to be the Gewalt of Yitzias Mitzrayim. As we suggested yesterday, just to put it in, what does this mean? It means never a sense of entitlement, of arrived. It's still an absolute wonder by the grace of God that I'm here. I cannot believe it. And I'm so awed by it. That's the Gewalt. As we said in marriage, that's the Nakuda. It's never entitled, it's never by right, and it's never mine. I've told you this many times, the gewaltige insight by Manis Friedman. If you haven't heard it, it's worth hearing. Some of you haven't. So we all know that on Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol goes into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So if he has an impure thought, so either he dies right there, or he dies in the course of the year. And things got so dark, and the matzav was in general so corrupted towards the end of the second Beis Hamikdash that the Kohen Gadol would go in with a chain around his foot, because if he died in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, they couldn't get him, it dragged him out. So the Rebbe asks, the obvious question is, Mr. Kohen Gadol, Mr. aspiring Kohen Gadol, that many of them bought their position, you know that if you're not going to be pure, you're not going to survive this. You saw what happened to the guy last year. So they bribed the Roman authorities who were in control then towards in the second Beis Hamikdash for the position. Are you crazy? So number one, it says, yeah, but it's worth it for one moment to be in Kodesh HaKadoshim. So they weren't as corrupt and as materialistic as we thought they were. If he's ready, risking, or even knowing he might die, or might well die, still he wants to be there. I want to know what love is. He wants to know the truth. But he hasn't answered the question to how long is he in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. It's a few minutes. You can't control your thoughts for a few minutes. You don't have to be anybody of any big madreg. If you're going Yom Kippur, the whole all eyes of Israel upon you. You're going to Kodesh HaKadoshim without any preparation, without any avodah. No one's going to think of some off-color joke when he's in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So what does this mean? What's the impure thought? So the mother says, and the impure thought is, I've arrived. I've earned this. I belong here. No, you don't. By absolute invitation, by the grace of God. That's the impure thought. That is the.
There's no bittul.
Huh?
There's no bittul.
Yeah. And what's the bittul? It's a big word, bittul, or it's a small word?
Entitlement.
Entitlement. As I said yesterday, this is the knock on the door if you go to the oil. The door is wide open to everybody. The Rebbe stood for hours every Sunday, nachayid. Never tired. That's true. The door is open and everybody's encouraged to go, but there's a little knock on the door. I'm here because by invitation, not because I have earned this. That's the Gewalt. That's the Gewalt. And that never ceases to be awesome and amazing and forever, every time, like the miracle, the grace of God. That's what he's saying. We have to bring the Gewalt of Pesach. It's a different kind of Gewalt, as it will say. But this Gewalt of, there was in Pesach edition, the Gewalt of, if I don't, help me not succumb to temptation, that the kud of the Gewalt has to be in the highest avodah v'asei tov, going further inside the text. No, you have to. The word v'lochin? Huh? Which word? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 5 lines in the bottom, 6 lines. He just said that the avodah of what of his sapche, and certainly the avodah of asei tov is silent, and it's measured, and it's quiet, and it's deliberate. And therefore, we have to be mamshich in the avodah v'tzias Mitzrayim, the yin of dilug, the avodah, of the dilug of v'tzias Mitzrayim in Pesach Sheini. In Pesach Sheini, and this is Pesach Sheini, meaning Amshachas Hadilug. We have this Gewalt, the dilug, this radical awareness, the awareness of how radical it is that I'm here. And that awareness is where, by avodah v'asei tov, even the highest avodah, the avodah of Chodesh Sheini. I'll be clear, friends. Yeah. Continuing Adilug, that even after the avodah of the dilug, of the radical avodah that's required to escape the clutches of sin, which is what Pesach Rishon, this is also carried through in the avodah of Pesach Sheini. Now let's begin this here and the order. This is similar. Maybe we'll address why it's not exactly the same, but it's similar to the following. Chassidus brings the pasuk in Shir Hashirim, chapter 1, pasuk 4. The pasuk reads, and we're familiar with it because it applies to this time. It reads, "Mashcheini acharecha, draw me after you." She's speaking to him, so Eden are talking to the Eibishter. Draw me after you, narutza, we will run. And then the pasuk includes, Haviyani hamelech hador, the king has brought me into his chamber. So Chassidus says that this pasuk has 3 parts. One referring to Tzias Mitzrayim, the second referring to the avodah Sfiras Ha'omer, and the third Matan Torah. Draw me after you is Tzias Mitzrayim. Narutza, we will run. That's Sfiras Ha'omer. The king has brought me into his chamber. That's Matan Torah. Now Chassidus notes that the tenses change and the imagery change. First it's draw me, then we run. Yes, because it's Tzias Mitzrayim that God took us out. Draw me. We is now engaging the plural, the Nefesh Bahamis. Moreover, Mashcheini is in the singular, because by Tzias Mitzrayim, only the godly soul responded. Nefesh Bahamis was resistant. That's what had to be dragged out. So Mashcheini in the singular, who is touched by this revelation at Tzias Mitzrayim? Only the Neshama. Narutza, we, now starts the avodah of refining we, meaning the Nefesh Elikis is working on the Nefesh Bahamis. And Narutza, we're running. We'll explain what that means in a moment. And then, the Nefesh Bahamis brings a lot of energy, which Nefesh Elikis naturally doesn't have. And then the king brings me into his chamber. Let's see inside the Maimer. By Yedesh and Nefesh Elikis pe'elis, through the fact that Nefesh Elikis effects Nefesh Bahamis yelo avas Hashem, Nefesh Bahamis have a love for God, and the Nefesh Bahamis is a passionate fellow. So if you've convinced him, who's the him? That's the conscious self, that life is all about godliness and Yiddishkeit and so on. He brings a passion there that the godly soul that is essentially cerebral. That's why it's so humble, because it's all about the objective truth, not subjective, which is emotional. Nefesh Bahamis is subjective. He's an emotional creature. Just wants to have a good time. Just want to do what I want to do. That's all. How bad. Nefesh Elikis is all about Moishe and the truth of the Eibishter, Bittul. So when the Nefesh Elikis channels successfully the drives of the Nefesh Abamis in Yiddishkeit, so this pearls, we will run. This pearls a passion that the Nefesh Elikis learns from the Nefesh Abamis. On the words of Kabbalah and Chassidus, the source of Nefesh Abamis is Elam HaToyo, as we learned. And Toyo is a crazy world. That's why the Nefesh Abamis is be'etzem crazy. So when the Nefesh Elikis refines the Nefesh Abamis and unlocks its source, meaning to say, you know where your craziness comes from? You think you just want another dollar, another sensual experience. You're really crazy about God. That's really where it comes from. So we finally grasp, understand this, and channel these avodas. So then the Nefesh Elikis, whose overt source is not Toyu, but fill in the blank. What's the overt, direct source of Nefesh Elikis? Huh? What's Tikkun? Where is Tikkun? On the geographical Kabbalistic map?
Atzilus.
Atzilus. And Atzilus is not crazy. Atzilus is, on the contrary, orderly and systematic. So Nefesh Elikis rides. It connects to the source of the Nefesh Bahamis and learns a passion in the Avodah, in its relationship with God that it didn't have before. So continuing, but there's more. We haven't finished the whole story here. We're in Mamish in the middle of, and this will come full circle soon. So continuing. So this is what is explained, that the Nefesh Elikis, last line down. Sha'ava the Nefesh Abamis Derech Marutza. Nefesh Abamis, when its loves are channeled, it's marutza, it's passionate, because again, he's essentially a sensual, emotional being. He, us, human beings, not seekers of intellectual seekers of truth. That's a Nefesh Elikis's identity. The emes and finish, whatever the price. And that's cold. It is cold, because in order to find the truth, you've got to put self out of the way. But the very nature of seichel, it's got to be cool. You get excited about something, you mar it, you blur it. Truth is silent. But the Nefesh Abamis is emotional, so it's always about, I want to do what I want to do. But if now what I want to do, I've come to realize is, you know what you really want? You really want to feel God. You want to know what love is? You want to feel God's love. That's the love you're looking for. So, and then Nefesh Abamis finds this, and the Yid's all excited about Yiddishkeit and all passionate. So this causes that the Nefesh Elikis also gets excited, connecting to this level of Toyu, to the Gewalt of Elikus. Nefesh Elikis doesn't know the Gewalt. It knows Atzilus. It knows God's decision to manifest Himself in 10 spheres. That's what the Nefesh Elikis knows in terms of its experience. That's its world. God's decision to manifest systematically. But there's the Gewalt of Elikus, Elam HaToyu, which is not the conscious experience of the Nefesh Elikis, that only engages through the Nefesh Bahamis. Like Bagashmis, you ride the ox, you ride or you harness the ox, you're getting a yield fabi of the field. There are many yields in the power of the ox that a person himself will till the soil, will never achieve. But you harness the ox or on the horse, and you can get to a place where you'll never get on your own. That's Narutza Lashon Rabim, so that's the plural. Avol, continuing now, next page. So now bringing the Gewalt to bear, even in the Avodah Vasei Toiv. That's the point. The Nefesh Elikis learns the Gewalt from the Nefesh Bahamis. All the levels we just said now, the levels that it connects to Elam HaToyu, all of the components, all saying one thing, different perspectives. To think it through later, to put it all, to make it all gel. Because people want to finish their mind, so let's keep on going. But after the avodah, this dilug, this gewalt is brought where? To the Nefesh Elikis in its communion and oneness with God. Dilug zeh naili yosim adil. But this is a different gewalt than the dilug of Pesach. Yehu, that dilug, that gewalt of Pesach, it's not a gewalt in the relationship. It's a gewalt, I'm going to fall into the clutches of sin and get me out of here. That's what the gewalt is there. But having that skipping, literally, that gewalt, that radical awareness, that radical appreciation in Torah mitzvahs, which is the avodah the v'asei tov, because what we're talking about now, it's a whole different level of gewalt. What am I connecting to? Hashem's infinite will, and I'm here, gewalt. It's a different kind of gewalt. But the nekuda is there. Why is the nekuda there? Because at the very beginning of the avodah, the end of the day, so you'll sin. So what? No, I can't. I have to make it. I got to do what's right. Even there, it's really selfless. The end of the day, even there, the lowest level, Siddur says, of not sinning because afraid of Gehenna, I'm afraid of hell, and all of the chetbonis. Really, there we probe deeper. What's really prompting this? I'm a yid, and I just got to do what I got to do. So that the nekud of there, of the gewalt, that's all Eibishter, is there too, in a very latent way. But now, the avodah v'asei tov, that's where it's fully revealed. Gewalt, asei tov, connected to the Eibishter, you've invited me in, you embrace me, I'm one with you. Can't believe it. Balachin, finishing the paragraph, Lacharishim is gala bligvul shebehem, of the adilog, the surmira. Therefore, by first accessing or connecting, which is, there's no other choice, the beginning, there has to be dilug. The beginning is a person struggling with a deep, dark Yetzer Hara, and every second is in temptation, every second is another excuse, and so on. It's got to be dilug. You've got to run like crazy. You've got to be thrashing. You're about to get out of there. So after being megala the bligvul through in them meaning in the beginning of the avodah, the dilug of surmira, hadilug inyan abligvul shlmal mahadroga. Then the bligvulness, which means beyond limit, radical. That's a different kind of radical. As we said, the beginning radical is sin or not sin. Now it's in Kedusha itself, appreciating the gewalt of being connected to Hashem. It's a much greater gewalt.
Can you say that the difference between Yetzias Mitzrayim and Sphira is the Yetzias Mitzrayim, the excitement is, I don't want to sin. It's more self-centered. And the avodah of Sfiras Haimer is less self-centered, but still not one is Yer Tata, one is Abba Tata, and but it's really not the ultimate.
Yeah, you could say that. You could say that. And that's true. But I was just saying that even in the I don't want to sin, in the day, why don't you want to sin? Because I'm a yid. The nekuda, the pnimius of the lowest level of yid. The lowest level of yid, so why not? What's going to happen?
You're worried about the stick. You're worried about the slack.
I'm saying at the end of the day, so you get the stick, and then what? I don't care. So at the end of the day, what motivates is, the end of the day, because I'm a yid, that's what the Eibishter wants. So even the lowest level, it's not so front and center, but that's really what's driving it. That's what's driving it. Well, we don't believe there's hell, and there's hell to pay for sin, and we still do. Well, yeah. And if you don't at the end of the day, it's not because I'm going to burn in hell. That's a peripheral motivation, because I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do. So why is a yid, even the basic level, going to do iskafia, a little iskafia? The end of the day, what's driving it? I'm a yid. That's Pel Mamsh, that's what God wants. So that nekud of gewalt now becomes the true gewalt in the highest levels of asei tov, where it's all about you. Let's begin now. Hara 48. Yeah, gewalt. Hara 48. So now we're going to have Bemis a whole new layer of taich in this pasuk of Mashchini Charechan Narutza V'Yani Melech Hadarav. Let's see. It's noteworthy to point out as follows, that the opening Footnote 48. Yeah, the opening word Sheini, draw me. The koi al yitzias Mitzrayim. This refers to yitzias Mitzrayim, as explains there in the other sources. So that's Loshen Yochid. That's in the singular. And likewise, V'cheni v'yani melech hadorov, the king brought me into his chamber. The koi al matan Torah. That's referring to matan Torah. Is again Loshen Yochid. That's in the singular. Why? Who's really appreciating and who responds to the Gilui, what happened in Yitzias Mitzrayim and Matan Torah? It's the Neshama. That's not the Chiddush of this Ha'orah. The middle is the Avodah, the we, Norutza with the Nefesh Bahamis. Now comes the Chiddush. Because again, till now, the model was who respond. There's three stages. Yitzias Mitzrayim, Sfiras Ha'omer, Matan Torah. Yitzias Mitzrayim, Nefesh Elikis responds. Sfiras Ha'omer is the avodah working on the Nefesh Bahamis, and then finally, the singular Nefesh Elikis, and the Eibishter chooses us. Matan Torah, again Nefesh Elikis. Now I was going to say that the middle avodah is also all about the Nefesh Elikis. That even the middle avodah, the Nefesh Elikis is working on the Nefesh Bahamis and channeling it, riding it, as it were, taming the ox. So even though it's plural, meaning it's the avodah with both, nonetheless, as we said before, the objective here is the gewalt that the Nefesh Elikis is going to get from this. It's the gewalt that the Nefesh Elikis gets from the gewalt of the Nefesh Bahamis' avodah. Clear? Which is the end point here of this us, that even in avodah v'asei toiv there's the dilug. And it's noteworthy to point out that this subtle insight will answer the following. In light of the Bible becomes sweet and well understood. They're running after, which is the plural, the this is, we're going to understand on a more subtle level, a preparation for the giving of the Torah. Of course it is. Why would it not be? He says, and I was going to say, why not? It's not a preparation for Matan Torah. It's just to get Nefesh Bahamis out of the way and not to be an obstacle. That's how it's understood classically. Why is that a preparation for Matan Torah? Because as explained in Kabbalah Chassidus, the whole refining of the Nefesh Bahamis only touches the external level of God's sovereignty. Without going to Pratim here, but you get the idea. It explains in the Maimorim of Megillas Esther. Refining the animal soul does not touch the crown, God's crown. And God's crown is what's given on Matan Torah. But Regilu the Matan Torah, what Matan Torah? But Torah Shitra Le'imai, as the pasuk says, the day when the king is crowned by his mother referring to Yidden, and the crown referring to Matan Torah. What is God crowned with, which he then gives to us, is the Kesem Malchus. So what is he saying here? That the avodah b'chalal of refining the Nefesh Bahamis does not elicit Matan Torah. It's a preparation that's needed. In other words, Nefesh Bahamis should not get in the way to what's happening with Matan Torah. But it's not mamshich the Inyan. And now we're going to say yes, that the avodah of the Nefesh of the Bir Nefesh Bahamis is the hakdama to Matan Torah. Why? Because it's the focus here is not Nefesh Bahamis, but the Gewalt the Nefesh Elikis gets from it all. That's what we say, that through engaging Nefesh Bahamis, you brought me into his chamber. So this is limit said that Nefesh Bahamis. It's not the focus here is not the Nefesh Bahamis is refined. It's because of the Gewalt that Nefesh Bahamis taught the godly soul. Should learned and accessed through the Gewalt, the energy of the Nefesh Bahamis, that the Nefesh Elikis which is now in Haviyeni Balachadar, this union, complete oneness. This is the Asay Toiv. There's no barrier. This is pure you and pure oneness. The Nefesh Alikis comes there with his Gewalt from who? From the Nefesh Bahamis. So therefore, the Avodah of Norutza is a Hachana. Not so much the Bir Nefesh Bahamis, but the effect on Nefesh Alikis. Okay, we'll revisit this order tomorrow. I think it's a bit brief. We'll address it tomorrow again.